How are you, YouTube? My name is Roshan. I am the book author of 4 different books. The first book is Stolen Identity, and this tells you about how I was sucked into the system when I was 17 behind a false accusation with inadequate counsel and no support system, and it tell you about everything that I went through coming up. Now, when I wrote this book, I was still going through a lot. I was experiencing life very heavy. And I left this book off on a cliffhanger because it really didn't have an end yet. But I started the process of telling my story by writing a book, and I left it off on a cliffhanger. The second book is The Domino Effect. Now, the domino effect actually tell you how I got from point A to where I am today. And this book was for everybody who had no closure on what happened next. Because I left Stolen Identity off when I actually went to prison. And this is my newest book, Roshan and the Camp Clique. This book is inspired by a true story, which is Stolen Identity. But it's in graphic form because I understand people don't have enough time to read because they work 40 and 50 hours a week, have problems with reading, whatever the issue may be. I put it in a graphic. That way, an issue that many act as if it do not exist or do not happen, I can give it to them in a way that maybe they can understand, because without acknowledging a problem is there, you can never fix it. So, I put it in picture form, because my story is a topic that a lot of people wish not to talk about because it's a hard pill to swallow. And I wrote it, but everybody don't read. So again, I put it in graphic form. That way we can stop acting as if certain things don't exist when it do. For many of you who don't know me, I was sucked into the system when I was 17. I ended up catching a case for touching a minor. Again, I was 17. The young lady is 1 year and 4 months younger than me, and she snuck away from her home, and I had no idea that she snuck away until I got older. I didn't think it was anything anyone can do to me in the courtroom, but unfortunately, I was pushed into a plea deal, and they told me if I did not sign that plea deal, I would get 15 years in prison, and I couldn't imagine doing those 15 years. So I signed a plea deal thinking that I was signing for the best option that I had available, not knowing that this would impact me for the rest of my life. But, and it's a heavy pill to swallow, but I'm handling it, hopefully one day things will turn around for me. As far as the registry, hopefully one day I can actually get off the system. But I'm actually doing this video because I did a poll. I did a poll of 106 people, and the poll was on sex offender housing. So I meant to try to keep the poll at 100 so I can, it'll be easier for me percentage-wise. But we went over. And I want to go over the stats with you. So first, before I go through the stats, I want to say that housing should actually be a right and not a privilege. Everybody should have a fair shake at housing. There's no way anybody should be denied housing, because without housing, you are not making communities safer. They become more dangerous, because you have more people in a vulnerable situation that's trying to figure out how do they live from day to day. Like, where am I going to sleep? What am I going to do for shelter? How do I survive? And without housing, people may have tendencies to make irrational decisions because the only thing that they can think of is that they have nothing. So, in this poll for sex offender housing, I asked a few questions. Like I wanted to know, how has the sex offender registry impacted people housing situations that's actually on the registry, despite how they got there. I just want to know about housing. And the first one I have, it was multiple choice. The choices that I had available for people to choose from was created homelessness, living with family and friends, living in a motel, transit or frequently moving, evicted at the moment, or have stable housing. And I found this survey to be interesting. So with stable housing, I'm actually going to start from the bottom and I'm going to work my way back up. So with stable housing, 43 people out of 106 people said they have stable housing. But that 43, I must point out that 43% out of 106, and this is right off the top of my head, I'm assuming it's like 41%. So that means 41% of people that is placed on the registry out of this poll that I pulled have stable housing, which is under 50%. And the registry is not getting better. The registry, day after day, year after year, get worse. So I'm assuming, looking into the future, if we can't change laws for the better for the registry, you're going to have more than 41% of people with fair housing. With stable housing. You're going to have less, which creates, again, not a safer environment, but a more dangerous environment, because you have people that's more vulnerable because they have no place to live. So out of this 41% or 43 participants that have stable housing that's on a sex offender registry, they, I must point out, have stable housing because they live with somebody else. They live with parents. They live with a spouse who have the place in their name. They live, like most of these people have a place that's stable but not in their name because they couldn't get it in their name. And this is 41% here. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and put the survey up for about 5 seconds. Okay, so that's the survey. Moving to the next, which is evicted. Now, currently evicted, out of 106 people, you only had one person, which is less than 1%. So you have one person that was evicted. I don't know if that means they have somewhere to go at the moment, or in transit, transitioning from one place to the other. But at the moment, they were evicted, which is less than 1%. Then you have 11 people that is in transit, which is frequently moving from place to place, which is like 9% out of 106 people. Which, again, if you don't have stable housing, when you have no idea, where you will sleep from day to day, it can create a more hostile environment because people don't know what they are going to do on a day-to-day operation, which make individuals more vulnerable to committing a crime. It's like forcing somebody to do something by placing them in a position that nobody wished to be in. Homelessness. You know, you're not on drugs. You got a criminal record. Your criminal record, regardless of how you got that criminal record, is the worst criminal record of all the other criminal records that you could possibly get. Everybody deny you of housing. It's like, I don't know, maybe creating a monster. The next survey question was like, how many people live in a motel or a hotel due to the sex offender registry? And you have 6 people there, which is about 4%. So if you live in a motel, I guess you have a job, but that job, and living in a motel could be pretty expensive. I don't care if it's $40 a day or $50 a day. If you do $40 a day, which is the cheapest I've ever seen a motel, and they could be cheaper, don't get me wrong, but I've never seen any motel cheaper than $40 a day. Now, if you do $40 times 30 days, that's $1,200 a month. All bills paid, but you have apartments here in the city that I live in, Houston, Harris County, you know, and they're not everywhere, but you have apartments that you could find that maybe $800. You know, you have some cheaper than $800. And what this is saying for me is that people that live in motels because of the sex offender registry can't even get housed in the lowest of the low or the cheapest apartments that there is. You know, nobody will give them the opportunity to live in this apartment because of the case, which means they have to live in a motel. And being on a registry, for most, maintaining a job is already a job in itself. Finding a job is already a job in itself. So paying for maybe $400 above the $800 apartment to live somewhere, because no one else will give you an apartment, mean again that puts you in a position maybe of not knowing if you gonna have this hotel next month, because you may not have your job. You have 33 individuals living with family and friends, which is about 30-ish, 31%. And again, these numbers is right off my head. I don't have a calculator in my hand. I'm just doing it, you know, from 106 people, which is a little bit over 100, which would have made the math a little easier. But 33 people, 31-ish, 30% of the people with or on the registry, regardless of how they got on there, live with family and friends. And that housing is not stable. Many of these people living with people who have housing but don't have stable housing, and they don't know, you know, if the person that they are living with may have housing tomorrow, because I almost said something, but stuff is just crazy. You know, so 33% live with family and friends. which is sad. And then you have 12, which is about 9% of the people is homeless. I think these numbers is terrible. In not one category, none of these categories, out of sex offender housing, like where people at, none of them hit the 50% mark. So like this survey, this is an unstable survey. And again, the registry, it's not going to get in. Well, it have not been getting any better over the years. It's been getting worse. So, long story short, everybody deserves housing. Without housing, you create a dangerous environment for everybody around. Housing should certainly be like a right. Like we all should have a right to fair housing, no matter what. I mean, you talk about a possible threat and a dangerous situation. Okay, so when you talk about a possible threat and a dangerous situation, so people will say, okay, well, if you on a sex offender registry and nobody care about why you was on the sex offender registry, it could be anything from, actually raping somebody to an angry parent, or you being in a chat line talking to somebody, in this chat line that is created for people that's 18 and over, and they got a profile with a picture up talking about they 21. Like, you can get on the registry for whatever reason, like everybody don't deserve to be on a registry. A criminal conviction or a plea deal don't necessarily equate to guilt. Yet some of us, like myself, sign plea deals, hoping that they can get the best deal that they can get, even though they shouldn't be in a situation, because they just simply can't afford to do certain time. But a dangerous situation and a possible threat, a threat and danger is two different things. So people may say, oh, well, if you're on a sex offender registry, then you a threat, and it's a possible dangerous situation. It's a possibility that this person may do whatever they want to say you may do, right? But if you want to get technical, then a threat and a dangerous situation, then a threat could be people living in your neighborhood with AIDS or syphilis. Like, it's a threat if somebody come and knowingly sleep with you and got a disease that you can't get rid of. It's a threat, if somebody got 300 guns in their house. But it really don't become a dangerous situation until that person with 300 guns actually grab one of them guns to go up to shoot up a school or a church, a mall, a movie theater. So, you got this registry for sex offenders. Which kill our chances and opportunities of fair housing, fair jobs, because of a possible threat. Not a danger, but a threat. When you have all these other threats out here, like, again, murderers, no registry. They could live next to you, no problem. Any kind of criminal record can get a fair shake at housing except a sex offender. And I don't get it, because all of us don't belong on the registry. But regardless of the situation, everybody deserves fair housing. Everybody deserves a fair shake at fair housing, because without fair housing, again, it's dangerous for everybody. So, I made this video just to show you the survey that I pulled with 106 people, to show you people housing situations that's on the registry. No matter which category you look at, they are all terrible. Not one category is 50%, but I mean, that stable housing number was really alarming to me. Like, the only way people can get stable housing was to actually live with a spouse or a parent. 43 people. I want you to think about this survey. And if you have power to change current laws, if you have the power to bring equity to the criminal justice system, if you have the power to create changes within the sex offender registry, I'm asking you to do what you can to create a safer environment for everybody. Demonizing people, poking the bear, scapegoating people, picking on people, bullying on people when you don't know or understand the circumstances from why or how somebody got where they are, is not creating a friendly environment. It's creating an environment to where when tomorrow comes, you may never know what may happen, because you are pushing people into a vulnerable situation where they make decisions where the decisions that they make may not even be who they are. But they are stuck in a place where they don't know what to do. So if you're a homeowner, if you're a property manager, if you're a landlord of any kind, do something with housing. Be fair for everybody. Housing should be a right, not an opportunity. Thank you.